right here, I've just picked some fennel fronds and some fennel blossoms. These fennel fronds are gonna help me make a nice juice to use to color my semifreddo today. And then these fennel blossoms, I'm gonna dehydrate into a little powder and use this to season the churro spice, the churro sugar, for my semifreddo churro later this afternoon. So can't wait to see you there. Hi everybody, my name is Stephanie Norcio. I want to start today by showing you a little bit of my process on how I create my desserts. And then I'm going to get going on one of my favorite desserts, something that I really think defines me as a chef. It's going to be my fennel pistachio churro semifreddo. So it's got a mixture of my Italian heritage with this fennel semifreddo, and then it has a little bit of a spin on my Hispanic heritage with the churro. So there's 7 components to this dessert. I've drawn out an illustration here to keep myself organized. So I have my recipes. I have a little design. It's going to contain an olive oil fudge, a honey meringue, and a cherry mousse on top of the fennel semifreddo and the fennel spiced churro. So the star ingredients of my dish today are fennel and cherries, along with the churro. So I'm working on my honey meringue. I have my egg whites in here. I'm gonna whip these guys up to a soft peak. And while this is whipping up, I'm also cooking my sugars and my honey over here. I'm using honey because I just feel like it's a little bit healthier, and you don't always have to use sugar for everything in desserts. I think it's smart and thoughtful, really, to kind of do my part in making people's lives a little bit healthier. So I'm using honey instead of I wish you guys were here to smell how fragrant and beautiful this honey smells, but what I've done to check that it's ready is spoon a little bit of it into a bowl of cold ice water, and when it hits the cold water, if you can use your fingers to kind of pinch it, and form it into this soft ball that you can still, reshape and form into a ball, that's what you're looking for. So this soft ball sugar is going to be streamed right into my whipped egg whites. They're not over whipped, they're nice and soft. With my mixer running, I'm going to find the sweet spot, the spot right in between the bowl and the whisk, and add this meringue in slowly. Okay, so my meringue has been whipping. It's got this beautiful pointy beak, you can see right there. And I'm using a piping bag to help me deliver my meringue to the top of my dessert. So I'm going to fill up this bag and use a small round tip to decorate the top of my semifreddo. So after being in my kitchen all day long, finally got all my mise en place ready. There's about 7 or 8 different components that I've made and preset to get my dessert ready to go. So first things first though, before I start my dessert, the star of my dessert is a churro, and I'm gonna get my churro frying. Previously I made my churros and I piped them into this pretty circle and I froze them. So by freezing the churros, I am able to help them hold their shape, and this shape is gonna stay while they fry. So my oil is at 325. I'm gonna let this fry for about 2-3 minutes and come back and check on that in a sec. So while that's frying, I wanna talk to you about the star of this dish, which is the fennel. Fennel grows everywhere around my neighborhood. It's wild, it's local, and I love to forage for it. It's got a naturally sweet, very aromatic flavor. If you're not familiar with fennel, it's kind of like licorice, but I love it because of the color and the flavor. So I've used the fennel fronds to make a juice that I've used in my semifreddo. Semifreddo is Italian for semi-frozen, and it's got a mixture of whipped up egg whites, whipped up egg yolks. It has and a lot of whipped cream in there, so it stays really nice and fluffy, but not too frozen. So it's got good contrast. I've used the juice from the fennel bulbs as well as some I've used the juice from the fennel fronds as well as some roasted fennel bulbs. And I'm using this ring cutter to cut out the perfect shape to go on top of my churro. So this is one component. In the meantime, I've got some fennel pollen from these flowers also in my churro sugar mixture. It gives it a really nice aromatic flavor that's kind of unique, and you'll be like, what is this in my churro? To go inside my churro dish as well, I've made some dragé pistachios. Dragé pistachios are just a candy coated nut that's dipped in chocolate. I like to crush them with the back of my knife to give them nice little chunky bits inside there. I've also added some dried cherries to my semi-Alfredo as well. I'm gonna check out my churro real quick. Give it a flip. Ooh, it's looking delicious. Okay, so I've also got some olive oil fudge. Ooh, it's kind of oozing out. So my olive oil fudge I'm gonna put on my plate first. Gonna make a nice ring for the base of my churro. And I like to use the philosophy, what grows together goes together, and olive trees are always right around the fennel blossoms and the fennel bushes. So olive oil is also a really healthy fat that's used instead of heavy cream, because if you can avoid using as much fat as you can, why not? So for me, I love olive oil fudge. I've also got some cherry mousse that I've made by pureeing some fresh cherries and adding in a little bit of heavy cream. Egg yolks made a nice mousse. So these are my components. I've also got some fresh cherries. I like to make cherry rings. I'm sorry, cherry coins. It looks like a little coin once you cut them into circles like this. So that's something to put on my plate. And then, last but not least is my churro. So I got my churro sugar. Oh, and we also have this beautiful honey meringue. So that's gonna be the finishing touch on top of our beautiful churro. So this guy I'm gonna pull out. You can see it has this nice golden color. I'm gonna toss it in the sugar, the fennel sugar. Okay, setting this guy right in the center. Grab our semi-Alfredo. This is really delicious because it has the hot-cold contrast, which really is gonna make you wanna keep coming back for more. I like to add just some of these chopped pistachios right here on top of that for a little bit more texture. Love texture. The cherry mousse for a little bit extra flavor punch inside there. And then gonna kind of top it off like a baked Alaska. But this honey meringue is the best part because it's not too sweet. We use honey, remember, so there's not too much sugar in there. And then what's better than like a toasted marshmallow meringue? Nothing. I love toasted marshmallows. So give this a nice little toasty finish. And then just because we have such pretty fennel fronds here, I'm gonna garnish this up with some more cherry puree underneath some cherry coins. So get that on the plate. Garnishing is where you really get to have fun and create some artistic designs and really get playful. So love the cherries, love the fresh elements. You have cherries a couple different ways. Just gonna chop up one of these little blossoms here. And it's edible. You should always have something like pretty and edible to finish your plate with. I'm gonna just stick this guy right inside there. And then you can even get some more fennel fronds and kind of just sprinkle some extra fennel pollen around. If you want to sprinkle some more toasted pistachios, a little extra crunch always looks pretty. And then I'm gonna show you guys the inside and taste it. Once you cut it open, you've got this beautiful, hot, steamy dessert in there. Hi everybody! I'm super excited today because I'm making my favorite bourbon salted caramel bonbons. These are one of my signature truffles I like to make, so getting to make them at home makes me super excited. I'm so happy to show you guys some of my tips and tricks that I use to make these pretty colorful bonbons. I use this method because working in restaurants, always having such limited space and working in really hot, tiny environments, I've had to manage my space wisely. I don't always have the luxury of tabling my chocolate and using different methods that normally would with the bigger pastry operation. So I've adapted tempering to home so I can do it now. We're at 93 degrees, so I'm getting lower. I still want to go down about 10 more degrees. So I'm gonna let that chocolate harden on the bottom again. Chocolate and water do not mix, so I'm gonna avoid that. I know my family is super excited that they get to eat all these truffles later. I am gonna put some bourbon in them, but if you wanna make them alcohol-free, that's fine. I can also use my body temperature as a gauge, so if I don't wanna use my thermometer, I can feel it right under my chin right here. It feels cool to the touch. You can also test it on your wrist. This feels like it's almost ready to be warmed back up. So let's take its temperature again. It says, ooh, I'm 84, that's good for me. You can tell by the viscosity of it, it gets really thick when you can tell it's ready to be warmed up again. So I'm gonna gently heat this over my water bath right here, just quickly in intervals. And then once it's ready, like right now, let's take its temperature again. Thank God for these thermal temperature guns. Okay, and I'm back at 92. So for me, this is gonna work. It happens very quick. I'm just gonna make sure it's evenly distributed. Check it one more time. Beautiful. It's actually not quite as warm as I want it to be. I'm gonna go a little bit warmer. So you have to have a lot of patience as a pastry chef. That's something I've definitely acquired over my years. I'm very proud of my patience. All right, I'm filling my molds with my chocolate to create a nice clean shell. And I'm gonna wipe all this excess chocolate back into my bowl and slowly remove as much chocolate as I can from the shell. I'm gonna show you how I make the filling for our bonbons. I'm using milk chocolate. Always taste test your chocolate. Gonna use a mixture of granulated sugar. This is gonna be our caramel. So I'm gonna start cooking my sugar in my stainless steel pot. You wanna make sure you have a really clean pot, make sure it's really hot, and you're just gonna pour your sugar right in and make it dry. So my beautiful caramel is ready. I am gonna be improvising because my bourbon truffles usually have bourbon in them, but right now I only have this Crown Royal, which is technically Canadian. That makes it not bourbon because bourbon has to be from the United States, I guess. Anyways, you can measure about 20 grams or you can eyeball about 20 grams. I'm gonna put about that much. And then if you wanna cook off your bourbon, you can let this go a little longer. If you don't really care about having a little spice in your life, then just get this caramel and pour it right in. So I'm gonna leave some space at the top because I want to be able to add in this crunchy layer. To me, texture is everything, and if you have texture, chocolate, sweet, salty, all balanced together, that's what's gonna make everybody like wow in their mouth and wanna keep eating whatever it is you're serving them. So I'm also gonna add some crunchy Rice Krispie treats, and if you look really closely, you wanna have space to press them down and then still leave just enough room. Okay guys, I'm so excited. The unveiling process is finally here. After all those steps, this is my favorite part. I'm just gonna tap these down a little bit, kind of loosen them up. You can see they're already kind of popping out. So in just one clean swoop, I'm gonna go flip them over. Boom. And hopefully they all pop out. Got a couple stragglers. Voila. And we have these beautiful bourbon salted caramel bonbons. And these are my favorite on top of vanilla ice cream. It just makes you feel fancy, and it's not too hard. I think everybody should try to temper chocolate at home. Again, let's just look at this beautiful layers inside of our truffles. If you come closer, you can really see the smooth ganache in the center, and you can tell that it has a nice layer of crunch in it. But most importantly, this thin exterior shell is what I'm... Here we go. Oh, caught me eating chocolate in the backyard. Chloe too. Well, hope you guys liked watching me make these bonbons today. Thanks for visiting me in the kitchen. And hope you guys have a super sweet weekend. Bye.